joins in. Shashank, good to have you on board. Clearly, the street participants are excited about the improvement in the product mix. Can you tell us a little bit about how you see it improving further?
SUV in the industry, the share of the SUV has been increasing. Last year, it was around 43%. In fact, 3 years back, it was just around 26%. So it has been rapidly increasing. And in the month of August, actually touched about 48%. So there seems to be a very good positive movement as far as SUV sales is concerned. And I think September is going to be no different. There also we see a similar trend. As far as Maruti Suzuki is concerned, remember we had just one SUV, which was the Brezza in the entry SUV segment earlier. Very recently, we have introduced three more products: the Brezza, the Vitara, the Fronx, and the Jimny. Also in the MPV sector, we introduced the Invicto. As a result, our share in the SUV market has been going up. Last year it was 12%, but this year in August, for example, we could touch 24% market share. In fact, we became the number one manufacturer both in July, August, and also on the cumulative basis. So the target which we had set for ourselves, which we had announced, which was to be number one in the manufacturer of SUVs in the country, we have achieved ahead of time, and I'm quite confident that this trend will continue in the remaining part of the financial year as well.
Okay, so keeping the festive season in view then, Shashank, how is it that you're planning the discounts, etc.? Which segment you think is going to see the most discounts this time, given that your inventory levels for the older models is so high?
So really the current level of discounts are more in the cars like the Alto, the Celerio, the Ignis, and the Espresso. Those were also the cars where our supply has been much higher than what the demand was, and that was actually necessitated because we did not have the semiconductor related components to make the other models, where we have a long waiting list and many pending bookings as well. So there was this contradiction in some models which had no waiting, therefore no very low inventory and absolutely low discounts. Whereas on the other hand, we have discounts in some of the others. But I don't expect them to be increasing in this festive season, and the reason is clear, which is that we have modulated production of these cars, the smaller cars now, and what has enabled is that we are now able to produce those other vehicles which have got a long waiting period, like the Ertiga or the XL6, the Brezza, the Fronx, the Baleno, the Swift, and so on and so forth. And the reason why we are able to do that is because we do not have that semiconductor component supply issue since July. And as you would have observed in July as well as in August, we have seen some very good production of those models where we had waiting. So overall, I don't expect discount levels to increase from the current levels, even for the smaller cars.
All right, and given that raw material costs are rising again, how are you seeing this impacting your margins?
Yeah, so it's a very important question because, for any OEM in the auto space, 70 to 77% of the cost structure is component cost, and that is dependent on the material cost. And while the material costs and the material costs actually is not just steel. So steel is one important material, of course, but there is copper, aluminum, palladium, and rhodium, and so on and so forth. It was for some of those commodities like the copper, aluminum, etc. They have shown a bit of softening in the recent quarters. But if you compare the prices of these commodities with what the prices were 2 years back, they're still very high. For example, copper was just $5,200 2 years back. It's went up to $10,400, $10,600. Came back and now around that $7,800, $8,000 range. Still very high when you compare with $5,000, which was the price 2 years back. So steel, of course, has been showing some divergent trends, sometimes going up and sometimes down. Right now, it seems to be a pressure towards the increasing side. So it's a very important, obviously material cost is something which we are watching very carefully. And then before we take any decision regarding the prices. Remember, OEMs have increased the prices in the last 2 years in response to the commodity price increases, but not completely. So we are just watching the situation before taking a final decision in this regard.
So how is it that you see the share of hybrids and CNG and growth triggers going forward?
So clearly, the hybrid, we have two models, the Invicto and the Vitara. The Vitara was introduced in September last year, and the Invicto very recently, just a month and a half back. The acceptance by the consumers for the hybrid has been very good. In fact, overall in the industry, hybrid percentage in the powertrain contribution is close to 1.8, 1.9%, compared with the electric, which is about 2.3%. So it's hybrids have also made a big mark. However, and going forward, we have announced that by 2030, Maruti Suzuki's powertrain would look something like a 15% electric, 25% hybrid, and the balance is a mix of CNG, flex fuel, biogas, and so on and so forth. So hybrid is a very important component which just started, and we expect it to get bigger and bigger as we go forward towards 2030.
Interacting with you. Thanks so much for taking time out. All right, let's move on.